What is up, people? Back again with a new educational style video. I'm gonna try my best to get a YouTube video up every single day in March, starting from the 3rd of March. So just had a few consultation calls tonight and a few things came up, and I wanted to kind of put them down in a presentation and essentially just run over exactly what I would do and what I would recommend doing if you were looking to really get into a solid routine with your health and fitness. So most people we coach have a little bit of training experience, so this would be kind of geared towards them, but essentially I'm going to lay out a roadmap to results. So if you're new to the channel, a little bit about me, just a little bit of proof of concept, just so you actually believe what I'm saying. 26 years old, been lifting weights naturally for 13 years now, almost 14. Been running for 4 years alongside my strength training. Generally do between four or five strength training sessions a week and 2 to 3 runs, sometimes a little bit lower, sometimes a little bit more, depending on what I'm working towards at different times in the year. My running stats currently weigh about 78 to 80 kilos, depending on how lean I am. I can do a 5k in 18 minutes, 10k in 40 minutes, marathon in 3 hours and 22 with not much training there. And I generally follow the hybrid style of training and run a coaching company called Athletic Aesthetic. We generally coach hybrid, well, people who are training in the hybrid style tend to be corporate individuals, some entrepreneurs as well. I think it's important to provide a few stats there of my own training, because there's a lot of online coaches now that have done a 5k and they call themselves a hybrid coach. So just a little bit of proof of concept there. And my mission with my company and my coaching team is essentially to help all our clients level up, understand and realize that they can actually achieve a lot more with their health and fitness alongside working busy jobs and careers than they previously thought. To help them stop making excuses like they're saying they're too busy and things like that. There's too many people saying that these days. And also just to kind of cut out a lot of the fucking bullshit in the industry that I'm seeing. There's kind of two types of kind of points of view that I see at the moment on Instagram and YouTube. There's coaches telling you that you need to like grind and be doing cardio every single day and be spending 2 hours in the gym and dieting to extremes. And then there's other coaches that are telling you that you can get shredded and get in amazing shape by just doing 2 or 3 sessions a week. I would say it's probably somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to kind of lay out what I would recommend doing in this presentation. So what do we actually mean by results? Really important to define that. Generally, this is kind of related to the sort of people that we attract and we coach, but everyone that comes to us wants to improve their body composition. No one doesn't want to either increase muscle mass or lose body fat. Usually it's a combination of both there. You hear a lot of people saying that they want to become more toned. That look will come down to you increasing your muscle mass and losing body fat simultaneously. And a lot of the people that we work with as well want to improve their performance. There's a big trend in the industry now. People are not just training for aesthetics and to look a certain way. They want to become more functional, become more mobile, become stronger and improve their fitness. So building strength and building fitness is a huge part of our coaching and the way that we coach people. And as I said before, usually it's a combination of the above. And a byproduct of doing all that is going to lead to huge improvements and increases in confidence. There's actually not many people that I speak to on consultation calls these days that are truly happy with the way they look. Everyone wants to improve in certain ways. So if you achieve all of the above, you will also achieve improvements in confidence and self-confidence, obviously. One sec. So a lot of what I'm going to be saying here in this presentation, it really is just the basics, but it's so important to actually just reiterate the basics. I think a lot of people overcomplicate things massively with their health and fitness. And to be honest, the biggest blocker and the biggest barrier that I see a lot of people make when they're trying to get in shape, they just don't start quick enough and don't start soon enough. Like, you have to be an action taker, you have to be an implementer. I live in Dubai. I surround myself with a lot of people in amazing shape and people who are very successful in business. And one thing that really stands out to me about those sort of people is they just fucking get started, they do something. I'm the same with that. Like, if I've got an idea in my head and I know there's something I need to do, I will go and work on it and get started. And I hear too many people say that they're waiting, they are waiting for the perfect time. They're waiting until work calms down, until they've got a holiday out of the way, until they've got travel out of the way. If you want to get in shape and stay in shape, then you literally need to start. You should have started yesterday. Like, you can't use holidays and travel as an excuse. And also, if you want to actually stay in shape, you've got to learn how to stay in shape whilst traveling and whilst going on holidays. Like, the majority of the clients that we work with, I would say 50% of them actually travel at least once a month for work. So a massive part of what we do on our program is help them kind of understand how they can adapt their training, nutrition, and their training and nutrition plans to accommodate for travel and holidays and things like that. So these days, if you can't do it when you're traveling and you're on holiday, then you're not going to stay in shape. A massive complaint that we hear, just because obviously we work with corporate people, professionals, entrepreneurs, is that they're too busy and then they've got too much going on. Well, same thing, if you're too busy now, like, your work is never going to calm down. You're not just going to suddenly find that you've got an easy month. So you need to learn to actually adapt your training and your nutrition around your work routine, and you need to actually stick to a plan that works for you. A lot of people will just go in too hard. They'll try and train 5 or 6 days a week, when realistically their schedule at the moment probably only permits them to train realistically 3 or 4 days a week. So when we onboard a new client, we will always try and understand, we'll always take a deep look at what they're currently doing with their work, how often they do travel, and we'll build a routine around that. Like, from our side, we want to see people building themselves up, starting on maybe 3 training sessions a week, and then maybe going up to 4 if they've got enough time to do that. So that is a huge thing. Start now. You have to understand it will be hard. It sounds a little bit cliche, but it is. There's going to be some training sessions that are actually hard when you get there. There's some training sessions that you're not going to want to do, but you've just got to have that strong mindset. And once you actually build that routine and you start seeing the results come, you've got that proof of concept, then it's going to drive you forward to keep going. But it will be hard. There's going to be training sessions you don't want to do. There's going to be some days where you don't want to stick to the diet. You want to go out and eat more meals out, order takeaways and things like that. But again, it sounds cliche, but getting in shape, it really does require a complete lifestyle change. It's not just a short-term thing. Well, it can be a short-term thing for a holiday, but again, that's not really kind of the ethos behind my brand. We show people how to get in shape and keep it for life. It goes without saying, you have to be consistent. You're much better off doing 3 or 4 strength training sessions a week rather than training 3 or 4 strength training sessions a week year round, rather than doing it every day for 3 weeks and then taking 2 weeks off. Like, if you stop using it, you will lose it. It's as simple as that. So aim to stick to a training routine that you can consistently do year round. And something I've started kind of saying to clients and people I'm speaking to on consultation calls is, your ability to stay in shape will be determined by your ability to spin up a lot of plates at once. And what I mean by that is, like, it's not hard to go to the gym every day in isolation when you're not busy. It's not hard to home cook all your meals and track all your calories if you're doing nothing else, you're not working. But it's about keeping all this stuff up at once. And I'll see it with clients sometimes. They'll have an amazing week of training, then the next week they'll have an amazing week of nutrition, but they miss some workouts. Then they might do both, but then something else falls out the window. They don't hit their step count. And the people that are the best at doing it all at once, they get the best results, and it's hard to do that. So what would I actually do to kind of start? In terms of training, I would initially start with just 3 strength training sessions a week. And if you were going to do 3 sessions a week, the most optimal split to follow, in my opinion, so that you can hit each major muscle group twice per week, would be a lower body session, an upper body session, and a full body training session. That's what I would put someone on. If they were able to maintain that for a few weeks, I would potentially bump them up to 4 training sessions a week, where I would maybe do 2 lowers and 2 uppers. But as I said before, you want to start low, maintain that consistency, maintain that adherence, and then potentially increase the volume. Within that, I would focus on progressively overloading every single week in every session. I actually made a much more in-depth video on progressive overload, uploaded 2 weeks ago. You can go watch that one. I would then consider adding in 1 cardio session alongside that. You need to be strength training at least 3 times a week to see improvements, significant improvements in your body composition. And then if you can do that, I would add in cardio for obviously health purposes, and potentially if you've got some performance goals related to running. We coach a lot of clients to combine strength training and endurance training. You could start adding in cardio for that reason. And I actually do think if you can tag on a performance goal alongside a body composition goal, for example, if you wanted to run a faster 5K or a 10K or a half marathon alongside your strength training, it's going to really help motivate you, and it's going to give you something else to focus on apart from just aesthetics. But I would not be adding that in until you consistently stuck to 3 sessions a week. And the most important thing within all that is this must fit around your career and align with your values. And what I mean by that is it all comes back to consistency. If you can't maintain this and keep this up alongside your job, you're going to be missing training sessions and you'll be back to square one. And from a confidence point of view, it's not good to see yourself missing training sessions. And it must align with your values. Like a lot of the clients that we work with, they say to us, I don't want to be in the gym on the weekend. I don't want to be doing training on the weekend. I want to spend time with my family. I want to be out with friends and things like that. So if it's unrealistic for you to train 6 days a week, don't do it. It's totally fine to do that. You can get a result in more ways than one. Like you can get in really good shape off 3 days a week. You can get in really good shape off 6 days a week. Nutrition, so I would use a TDEE calculator, stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. Within that, you can fill in your stats in terms of your activity level, age, gender, height, and it will spit out your maintenance calories. If you wanted to lose body fat, I would probably take between 300 to 500 calories per day off that calorie amount, and that will have you losing body fat and have you in a deficit. And if you wanted to gain weight, I would add 300 to 500 calories on top of that. That's what we will do with all clients, but it really does depend on, you know, the activity level of the individual, their goals as well. For someone who was training for a performance goal, if they were wanting to, you know, improve their running alongside improving their body composition, I probably wouldn't put them in as much of a deficit because they need more calories and carbohydrates to support their performance. A protein target, generally for males, we would go for 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. For females, closer to 1.8. I would consider putting in higher calorie days to support performance. For example, if you were doing running alongside strength training, you're doing a long run on the weekend, I would go higher calorie and higher carb on those days. And then if your goal was to lose body fat, what you can do is on your rest days, let's say you had 2 or 3 rest days a week, you could go lower calorie on those days to create more of a deficit and put higher calorie days in on your training days so that you've got more energy to fuel performance. Then I would focus on a diet of whole food 90% of the time. I'm not going to say 100% of the time because I think that's unrealistic for most people. You know, if you're, a lot of people say 80-20, but I think, to be honest, if you were just eating whole foods 80% of the time, I think there'll probably be too much junk and shit in your diet. And a lot of the clients that we work with are not just trying to optimize their training, they're also trying to optimize their work performance and productivity as well. So I would say 90% of the time. And I actually think it's really important to incorporate meals out into your diet if you enjoy them. Like, I really enjoy going out for a meal every Saturday. It's something I look forward to, and it keeps me, I would say, more on point and more disciplined through the week. So I think that's really important. I think that's a big mistake that people make, is they try and go too, you know, quote unquote clean and restrictive through the week, and by the time they get to the weekend, they just go overboard and binge. Other consideration, well, other things that you're going to need to consider. You know, if your goal is fat loss and losing weight quickly, then maintaining a high step count will definitely be beneficial for fat loss, because it literally just means that you're burning more calories day to day. I think it's incredibly underrated, a high step count. I would recommend 10k plus a day if you wanted to lose body fat. You could even drive that up to 15,000 steps a day, but it just depends what's realistic for you in your routine. Like, can you actually be going out and walking 15,000 steps a day? Does that work with your job? Probably not. But I have obviously, that has been a huge tool that I've used in the past to accelerate my fat loss, because I train for performance, so I never want to go for lower calories. I'd rather drive my step count up, but obviously I do have more flexibility to go and walk and stuff because I work for myself. Build yourself up slowly and aim for 100% compliance. As I said before, seeing yourself tick off training sessions consistently is going to be great for self-confidence, and then conversely, missing them is not going to be good for self-confidence. So aim for those 3 out of 3 strength sessions a week, and potentially cardio, and then you could build that up as your tolerance improves over time, and as you get better at actually managing your time and spinning all these plates like I mentioned before. I did kind of mention this before as well. Your routine, it must fit around your lifestyle, otherwise it's not going to last long. That's super important. And your job and your travel as well. Like, if you're traveling every 3 or 4 weeks for work, it's probably not realistic to do 5 training sessions a week. So just think about that. And what you could do is potentially decrease the training volume when you are traveling. We do that with some clients as well, and we will set them up with different training routines when they go away. Focus on the bigger picture. Again, sounds a little bit cliche, but understand that you know, if you look at someone who is in shape year round, they're not just focusing on an 8-week sprint to get themselves shredded. They're focusing on making it part of their lifestyle, and 90% of the time they will be very consistent. That doesn't mean that you can't make a lot of progress in a serious amount of time. That we've generated some great transformations, you know, in an 8 to 12 week period, but generally you need to be focused on the bigger picture and focus on consistency, not perfection. There are undoubtedly going to be workouts where you're not going to be able to progressively overload, you don't have the energy because maybe you had poor sleep the night before. Still get in, get it done, and understand that it's just about getting back on it the next day. And same goes for the diet side of things as well. If you do mess up your diet and eat a little bit too much, you go on a night out, just get back in the gym the next day, and it's just about building those habits. So those would be the main things that I would do with training, nutrition, and other considerations if I was wanting to get someone in shape quickly. And that is generally the frame that we will follow with everyone, but obviously we go into much more depth with people when they come on board with us. So if you are interested in coaching, the link for the application form will be below, where you can book in for a free consultation call with me. We'll discuss your goals in a little bit more detail and see if you would be a good fit for our program. You can follow me on Instagram at joe_is_fit. Again, linked in the bio, should have mentioned it there. Post all our client transformations on there and lots of hybrid training related content there. And obviously subscribe to the channel for future videos. Peace.